Jack. At this time, I'd ask the clerk to call the roll.
Supervisor Steele.
Present.
Supervisor Sikorsky.
Present.
Has joined the meeting.
Supervisor Schmidt. Supervisor McMiniman.
Present.
Supervisor Thornton. Supervisor Thornton. Supervisor Hauser.
Present.
Chair Gullickson.
Present.
Supervisor Michelson.
Present.
Supervisor Shipman.
Present.
Supervisor Curvina.
Present.
Supervisor Eisenhuth. Supervisor Eisenhuth. Supervisor Ives.
Present.
Supervisor Hunt.
Present.
Supervisor Hall.
Present.
I show Supervisor Thornton and Supervisor Eisenhuth absent.
Okay. We have a quorum, so we'll continue on. At this time, I will ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
So move. This is Supervisor Michelson. Supervisor Schmidt, second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, at this time, then I will ask the clerk to call the vote. And those in favor at this time would say aye to her when she asks you your vote.
Supervisor Michelson.
Aye.
Supervisor Shipman.
Aye.
Supervisor Curvina.
Aye.
Supervisor Ives.
Aye.
Supervisor Hunt.
Aye.
Supervisor Hall.
Aye.
Supervisor Steele.
Aye.
Supervisor Sikorsky.
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt.
Aye.
Supervisor McMiniman.
Aye.
Supervisor Hauser.
Aye.
Mary Ann King.
Has joined the meeting.
Mr. Chair,
Aye.
all present voted aye.
Unanimous vote. The motion passes. Okay, at this time, we will entertain members of the public wishing to be heard. When I open this up, I'll ask you to state your name, and then we'll take you one at a time. You will have 5 minutes to make your comments. And so at this time, for those who wish to speak, I would ask that you would identify yourself so we can get you on the list.
Carolyn Kaiser.
Okay, Carolyn.
Ida Simonson. Pat McKern. Ida Simonson.
Okay, we have Ida Simonson and a Pat McKern.
Yes.
Are there any other members of?
Carolyn Kaiser.
Yes, I have you, Carolyn. Yes. Any other members of the public? Okay, Carolyn, we would start with you.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening. I'm Carolyn Kaiser, and I reside at 2964 35th Avenue in Elk Mound. COVID-19, yes, it's been in our vocabulary for 10 months now. And what does the county board see as their role for protection of county citizens, Chippewa Valley, and beyond? I would like to see the county committees communicate and collaborate with each other and brainstorm what would be best for our county. Back in February and March of 2020, there was a great unknown. Issues needed to be studied and facts found. That, coupled with misinformation, mixed messages, and purposeful lies, made truth more difficult. We all realize that COVID-19 is a public health issue. Therefore, it would behoove us to gather information, ask questions, and listen to those in that field of knowledge. As I stated, public health has a great role in this. What if the board as a whole stood by her? What if they ask her, how can we help? If persons do not understand contact tracing, ask. If persons would like to help, ask. Wisconsin Statute 252 is pretty clear about people not interfering with public health role. What if the Economic Development Committee focused on small business aspect? What if they brought a resolution to the county, recognizing that where the legislation has some power, let legislators know the citizens of Chippewa County are hurting and the facts, and they've not met since mid-April, so that's not helpful. What if they came up with some slogans, messages supporting business and citizens? What if the Legal and Law Enforcement Committee took steps to support citizens as a whole? Back in the day, we recall that law enforcement had a slogan, to protect and serve. What steps do you think would be helpful for our county as a whole to get this pandemic under control? And what is leadership's role in taking on bullies and those who threaten? We are beyond the point of conspiracy theories and that they should be tolerated. As county board members, I would like to hear you speak truth to power. Many of you may know about the Caring is Contagious group who's doing positives for the Chippewa Valley. What are your thoughts and positive steps in doing something positive? There are numerous city councils and county boards in west central Wisconsin taking action of responsibility. I thank them for that. I look forward to the committees working together to decide priorities and decide what is the board's vision. Is it getting children back to school? Is it truth? Is it masking up? Is it teaching people about social distance? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next up is Ida.
Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak to you tonight. My name is Ida Simonson, and I'm a registered pharmacist. I live at 1326 Pleasant Place, Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin. Because I've been in the healthcare field for over 50 years and am familiar with universal precautions preventing infections, I'm speaking on behalf of many citizens of Chippewa County. As you well know, we are one of the states with high COVID rates, and in fact, Chippewa County over the last 7 days, ending on 12/5/2020, has had an average of 86.43 cases versus Eau Claire County's average of 62.7 cases, in spite of being less than two-thirds in size. In addition, we expect an increase of cases because of the Thanksgiving holiday. Hospitals are full and healthcare workers are exhausted and becoming sick themselves. We are on the national news with CNN interviewing people in the hospital in our area with COVID. We are asking you to consider mandating mask wearing in public in enclosed public spaces in this county. This is such a small thing to ask people to do. While we are aware that a group appeared protesting mask wearing as they felt it went against their constitutional right, we say it's our constitutional right to be able to buy our groceries and do necessary shopping at local businesses without the fear of encountering people without masks. Oxygen particles are small and go through masks easily, so it isn't a problem of people not being able to breathe. On the other hand, the large particles of saliva, which carry the virus, stay within the mask. If you feel it is not within your power to mandate mask wearing, would you at least please pass Resolution 4220, asking people to wear masks for the safety of others as well as themselves? I am representing people from all walks of life, educators, business people, health professionals, service workers, and the ordinary citizens. Thank you for your time. I will now read the names of 121 people who have asked to be part of this petition. Deborah Adams, FNP, RN. Robert Adams, Amy Ambling, Diane Beyer, Tom Beyer, Marge Bjork, Catherine Ballum, Melvin Ballum, Judy Brist, Jerry Brost, Sue Decker, Barbara Dolinger, Don Dolinger, Angela J. Sterling Orth, Jim Wisniewski, Dennis Shook, Mary Landveer, MD, Sherry Hartman, Sage Buckley, Tim Joas, Ken Koss, Kiana Spooner, Mary Skalecki, Christine Lund, Monica Jones, RN, Richard Smith, Robert Bullwinkle, MD, Dan Hypus, Rita Simon, MD, Laura Reynolds Sasma, Bill Febri, Nancy Febri, Carol Gell, RN, Jerry Gell, MD, Ruth Ann Gilbertson, Ann Gordon, Nancy Aber, Al Holly, Mary Holly, Marilyn Hoddle, Pat Jasper, Sherry Jasper, Marianne King, Amber Vandermuse, Luann Wisniewski, Jay Taylor, Thorsten Landveer, Jill Thompson, Jane Weiler, RN, Julie Joas, Diane Koss, MedTech, Joe Spooner, Gary Skalecki, Patty Norquist, Ken Mullen, Tim Ash, Terry Omet, Jessica Lemke, MD, Jill Hypus, Heather Seibel, Rosemary Kilbridge, Sandra Larson, John Lawson, Karen Lee, Nancy Loff, Evelyn Maloney, Elaine Mann, Eileen Martineau, Pat McKern, Barbara McNaughton, Julie Miller, Gaida Nadro, Betty Odo, Lauren Peterson, Carolyn Weibel, RN, Mark Brand, Linda Taylor, RN, Chorvin Lantier, Savannah Buckley, Kent Wheeler, Tom Hooper, Kathy Pawlowski, Marilyn Murphy, Jacqueline Wright, Nina Craner, Susan Mullen, Melissa Ash, Candy Geisler, Barbara M. Stevens, Jenna Johnson, Dawn Bai, Jonathan Bailing, Karen Thurman Peterson, Don Reed, Jan Reed, Doyle Richards, Sherry Richards, Connie Russell, Tim Russell. Joel
Okay, your time is up.
Rand.
Thank you. Thank you. Your time is up.
Thank you.
I believe next, Ms. King.
Mr. Chair, I think it's Pat McKern.
Pat McKern. Okay. Pat McKern.
Thank you for letting me make a few comments. I live up near the northern border of Chippewa County at 27200 of 145th Street, New Auburn. And I'd like to also talk about a resolution regarding the health department's guidance for dealing with COVID-19. I was reading the ordinance that you have on the website, and I was struck by the irony of the standard language about the resolution having no fiscal impact to Chippewa County. I do know what that means. However, it made me wonder about what might be a real fiscal cost to the county when nothing is done. I'm referring to the loss of sales tax because of the change in shopping habits of myself and just about everyone else I know up here, and probably a lot of other county residents who don't feel it's safe to shop and do business here in the county. Less than a year ago, if you had told me that I would be changing my shopping habits and traveling down the road to big box stores in Eau Claire, I would have objected vehemently. I was really trying to support the small businesses closer to me, if only to keep them alive and available. But now I'm spending my money in Eau Claire. For whatever reason, the folks in Eau Claire wear masks. The stores require it, and they enforce it, and they seem to be doing everything they can to provide a safe shopping experience. I haven't found that to be true in Bloomer and the other towns in Chippewa County. I don't know why. Is it a lack of leadership? I don't know. But I don't think they care about me, so I don't shop here anymore. And I think it will be a very hard lesson to unlearn. I'm not particularly happy about this. I hope I don't sound smug. But I hope you not only pass a strong resolution, but that you mean it. Please don't just pass a resolution. Do all that you can to inform the public about it and to encourage people to abide by it as strongly as you can. Please take this seriously. Show us you care. Give us some strong leadership. Thank you.
Okay. That it?
You could ask again.
Is there anybody else from the public wishing to be heard? Okay, hearing none, we will move forward to the consent agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Supervisor Shipman, so moved.
Okay, we have to approve. Is there a second?
Supervisor Hunt, second.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion on the consent agenda? At this time, I'll ask the clerk then to call the roll. Again, as she calls your name, a yes or an aye if you want this resolution to pass.
Supervisor Shipman? Aye. Supervisor Curvina?
No.
I'm sorry, Supervisor Curvina, could you repeat?
No.
Supervisor Ives?
Aye.
Supervisor Hunt?
Aye.
Supervisor Hall?
Aye.
Supervisor Steele?
Aye.
Supervisor Sikorsky?
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Aye.
Supervisor McMiniman?
Aye.
Supervisor Hauser?
Aye.
Supervisor Michelson?
Aye.
Mr. Chair?
Aye. Okay.
11 aye, 1 no.
Okay. All righty. Motion passes. Consent agenda is then approved. We will now go to reports, and first up, we will have the county administrator on the COVID-19 update.
Thank you, Chair. You'll see in your packets on page 12 of your packet will really be my first slide. And this just talks about the COVID funding. Now, this is the money that we've been given mostly through the federal government or through grants. You'll see the dates when they have to be used up. We're running to the end of most of those. You will see the last column to your right. The ELC funding is from 11/1/2020 to 11/15/2022. We do know we can use that for contact tracing and investigations. We don't know what else we can use that funding for, but that's what we're designating that for right now. As you know, in the news, there's a lot of talk at the state and federal level about additional funding, and we'll have to see where that goes. We are, as we've talked, many times, we're fine as far as our expenditures and getting revenues in for that. So we're not seeing any shortfalls because of the COVID investigation and the expenditures we've had on that as far as public health and the work they've been doing. The next one is just this fiscal review that we keep on putting up, and it's just a comparison, very high level, obviously, between 18 and 19 averages and the 2020 actuals. And you'll see we added a column just so it's easier to read to your right there, which just tells the difference. And essentially, the most of it has to do with DHS, which is really have to do with RWC and Medicare, Medicaid reimbursement and timing for that. And then the highway one is we're always going to be down revenues there because the wheel tax went away. But right now it's what we've always been talking about, long-term investments, our short-term investments for interest, and then our revenue for stumpage and land conservation, forest management is really the couple areas that we're running low in. Then the next one is the sales tax revenue. Like we said, everybody thought this is where we're going to take a big hit. We really haven't seen that. We are currently up year to date, essentially 1.4%. We did get the next month numbers in, and with that, we're actually down overall, but it's 0.03% if you add the next month. So we're right where we were the previous year. So we really haven't seen that big hit in sales tax that was kind of projected from the beginning. And then the other thing we did, obviously, is we closed the courthouse again. We had a week where we had about 50 employees out, either on quarantine or isolation, and we weren't able to keep some of our departments open. So we went to that a few weeks ago, and I'm anticipating keeping it that way until after the new year and see where we're at and reevaluate that. Are there any questions?
Any questions from the committee, from the board? I just have one clarification I'd asked of the administrator. So we are not in debt on COVID-19.
Correct, we are not. We've had, obviously, expenditures and we've had revenues to cover them, either through routes to recovery or other funding.
Okay, thank you. Okay. We will go then to Lori Sweevelover, the finance update for the department reports.
Good evening. So I'm going to start out, we're going to start out on page 15 of the packet. So let's see here. We're actually going to go down to page 16 because it's just the first few pages are just showing what we're going to talk about. Census report is for year-to-date for third quarter, which is September 30th. 3/4 of the year is complete, so I look especially close to expenses above the 75% or the out-of-line revenue. So that's kind of what I'm looking for when I'm looking at this report. So I'm on page 16 of the packet right now on that first slide. You're going to see where some of those are highlighted, and I'll just talk about those highlighted items, and then if you can definitely let me know if you have any questions, and you can interrupt me at any time, okay? So the first one is the general county. And so as of September 30th, we hadn't received the last installment from Wisconsin Department of Revenue for the state shared revenues. We have received that installment on November 16th in the amount of $2,173,087.35. So that will help offset quite a bit. So we should look pretty good there. The county clerk's line, the library funding is paid in February of each year to the different libraries. Just to note that passport revenues and passport photo revenues are only sitting at about 35% compared to the budget, which would be directly related to COVID. Not to say that those are high dollar amounts, but just so you can see that there is some impact. Also, in the election budgets, the ballots are higher because it is a presidential election, and Jackie noted during our department head meeting in late October that she was actually printing more ballots because of that expected higher voter turnout. The next item down is the county treasurer's office. Interest income is significantly lower due to low interest rates. To get an understanding of how we are affected, in that local government investment pool or state investment pool, has many different names, the interest rate in September of 2019 was 2.18%. And in September of 2020, it is 0.13%. So you're probably wondering, well, what is it from a dollar standpoint? So in September of 2019,
has joined the meeting.
the interest rate, from a dollar standpoint in September of 2019, interest was $140,336.54. And in September of 2020, we only had interest of $2,312.19, which of course is a significant reduction in just for 1 month. However, our long-term investments with Schwab are performing above, but within the next couple of years, the investments will need to be renewed. And unfortunately, at that time, they'll be renewed at a lower rate unless the interest rate regains momentum. The next item that's down there is child support that's highlighted. Just to note that the revenue is coming from the state quarterly, and for an overall budget, 95% of the budgeted revenues are from that state aid, and only 5% is standard levy funded. For the Sheriff's Department, in September, we transferred $1,645,887 for that radio tower project, bonding funds from the capital improvement funds. And if you recall, that a resolution was passed at the November County Board meeting about this. Let's see here. Another one, because that's where the radio tower project is. The next one down is the land conservation forest management. And as Randy had already articulated, but stumpage revenue is down, of course. And for our 3-year average for 2017 to 2019 was $466,000. And for 2020, the actual stumpage until September 30th has been $139,436. I do know that this last quarter that Dan and Matt had been working on other options to increase revenues. The last one that I don't have highlighted that I wanted to talk about on this general fund slide was public health. I wanted to let you know that the low expenses, you can see that they're only at 28%, that they're really low, and it's really because the employees in public health are working on the COVID cases, which are sitting over there in the special revenue fund for public health. I know that was a lot. Are there any questions about what I talked about?
Any questions by the board?
All right. So if you're going on to page 17, that the top slide is just the general, that's just a bar graph that we usually show. The second slide on page 17 is going to be called Special Revenue Funds for January through September of 2020. Okay, so again, we're just going to talk about the highlighted items. Unless you want to talk about something else, we're definitely able to do that too. So the RWC, as Randy had mentioned before, the receipt of revenues is delayed compared to when the expenses have been paid. So just to give you an idea that right now we're probably about 3 to 4 months behind in getting the money back from when the expense occurred. And a lot has to do with the state has changed the rules on how we input this information to go get reimbursement. So we're working on that and working with all the other counties to help us be able to get a smoother process to get that through. The last one I have highlighted down there is called the sales tax property relief. So through July, which we received in September 30th, sales tax revenue is up to 1.72% from 2019. And remember that slide from what Randy had, that actually is through August. So that's a later time. At the end of 2020, we will have I was on the wrong line. This is good compared to where the Department of Revenue anticipated us to be. if you remember, the transfer of $2,354,113 had occurred in September as what was approved by that resolution about transferring that available bonds between the highway and the radio project back to sales tax. And I don't have any other thing highlighted on there. Is there anything, does anyone have any questions, or anything I didn't talk about that you wanted to talk about?
Any questions from the board?
Okay, hearing none, I will move on to, it will be on page 18. I'm sorry, page 18, the second slide is going to be, again, it's going to show you the bar charts. Page 19 is talking about debt service funds. And on this one, you'll notice that these are the actual annual payments that we pay for our debt payments. At the end of 2020, we'll have the outstanding year-end balance of $10,160,000, which includes that $3 million that we bonded for in September, that we finalized in September. So you'll be able to see that under 2020 for that payment year. You can see that our total payment was $1.8 million. And then you're going to see that the year-end outstanding principal is the $10,160,000. Any questions on debt service funds? On the next slide, still on page 19, on that second slide, you're going to see the bar chart. And so on page 20, we're looking at the capital project funds. And so this is where the money is housed when we get money for bonding to do a project. And then that's where the money is transferred out of this fund in order to go and put it to where the project is actually being charged to. So like, for example, the radio tower being charged over in the Sheriff's Department budget. So it's being taken out of the 415 fund and it was transferred over to the Sheriff's Department. There isn't really anything more to show there. I mean, as you can see, we transferred $5 million out of there for this year. We've transferred $5,029,000, and the revenue is actually the revenue we got from the state investment pool on there. Are there any other questions on the capital project fund from anyone? All right. The next slide on page 20 talks about internal service funds. The first highlighted thing I have is the self-funded liability insurance. And you can see that it has a huge loss, but it's really only because we only do one entry once a year, where it's the annual insurance allocation, where we charge different departments. So we had actually processed that in November for $256,932. So that will help offset the loss. In here also, we will get a little bit of a dividend from WMIC. It's usually pretty low compared to what it used to be. Of course, they're not getting much for their investments either. So is there any questions on anything on the internal service funds? Okay, hearing none, I'll go to page 21, which will be, the first slide is just the bar chart. The second slide is for Enterprise and Trust Agency Funds.
They went ahead and...
Make sure that you mute your mics out there in the public.
Has left the meeting.
Okay. So the last slide is the Enterprise and Trust Agency Funds. In here, you can see this is where we house the Land Development Fund and the Dog License Fund. You know, this is just normal activity. I really don't have any concerns there. Does anyone have any questions about the Enterprise and Trust Agency Funds? Okay. On page 22, that first slide, of course, is the bar charts. It's for a different view. So I went through the whole presentation. Does anyone have any questions?
Any questions, board? Okay. Hearing none. Thank you, Lori. We will move on to business reports. And we have no general reports, so then we will move to number 8, which is the business item. Resolution 4220. I would ask the clerk to read the resolution.
Resolution 42-20. Resolution to acknowledge the efforts of the Public Health Department during the COVID-19 pandemic and to encourage the citizens of Chippewa County to follow the public health recommendations to promote health and safety. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Health and Human Services Board and the County Board do hereby recognize and thank the Public Health Department for the extraordinary efforts that those in the department have put forth during the COVID-19 global pandemic to protect the health and safety of the citizens of Chippewa. And be it further resolved that the Health and Human Services Board and the County Board do the citizens of Chippewa County to follow the recommendations made by the Chippewa County Public Health Department, including wearing masks in public, social distancing, and avoiding gatherings to minimize the spread of this highly contagious, serious, and potentially deadly virus. And be it further resolved that the Health and Human Services Board and the County Board urge the public to cooperate with testing, contact tracing, and quarantine procedures that are in place to protect the general public and those most vulnerable to the disease. And be it further resolved that with a committed, unified sense of responsibility to the community in dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic, the goal of providing a safe, healthy, and prosperous environment for Chippewa County citizens can be achieved. Forwarded to the County Board by the Health and Human Services Board.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 4220?
Supervisor Ives, I move to approve.
Okay. Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Supervisor Hall, second.
Okay. Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I will ask the clerk to call the roll. Vote. Those in favor, yes. Those opposed, no.
Supervisor Ives? Aye. Supervisor Hunt? Aye. Supervisor Hall?
Aye.
Supervisor Steele?
Aye.
Supervisor Sikorsky?
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Aye.
Supervisor McMiniman?
Aye.
Supervisor Hauser?
Aye.
Supervisor Michelson?
Aye.
Supervisor Shipman?
Aye.
Supervisor Kervina?
No.
Supervisor Eisenhuth?
Aye.
Mr. Chair?
Aye.
Twelve yes, 1 no.
Okay. Resolution passes. Agenda items for future consideration. Do we have any agenda items for future consideration?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, go ahead, Mr.
Supervisor Schmidt?
Yes, go ahead.
I would like to see some discussion on the shape and form that we use for county board and committee meetings going forward until the end of this COVID-19 crisis.
Okay. Okay, duly noted. Anybody else? Hearing none, again, I'm sure the committees will get to me, and if somebody else has something, you can always get to me prior to the board meeting so we can get it properly agended. At that, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
Supervisor Shipman, so moved.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Tammy Foldy.
Has left the meeting.
Supervisor Ives, second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. I would ask the clerk to call the vote, yes for yes and no for no.
Supervisor Shipman.
Ida
Aye.
Simonson.
Has left the meeting.
Supervisor Kervina.
Yes.
Supervisor Eisenhuth.
Yes.
At McCurry.
Supervisor
Has
Ives.
left the meeting.
Aye.
Supervisor Hunt.
Aye.
Supervisor Hall.
Aye.
Supervisor Steele.
Aye.
Supervisor Sikorsky.
Aye.
Supervisor Schmidt.
Aye.
Supervisor McMiniman.
Aye.
Supervisor Hauser.
Aye.
Supervisor Michelson.
Aye.
Mr. Chair.
Aye.
13 ayes.
Motion carries, and I thank you for your attention. Have a good evening. We are adjourned.
You're out.